I'm TarotOracle, and we're going to talk about making the sad card. Oh, it's a Five of Pentacles. So here's the traced out view of this. Sorry for the camera shake. So here's the traced out view of this thing. We're going to need to do the background first. And here's what I'm going to do. We're going to do gouache. Why not watercolor, you ask? Because it's going to take 4 or 5 layers to get really dark, and I don't want to waste a lot of time doing that. Gouache, I don't have to do masking fluid. Gouache is just like acrylic painting almost, where I'm just going to paint around the edges really carefully. So here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to use just pure black and have black all over here, and we'll add snow later, but I don't want to do pure black for obvious reasons. It just looks bad, right? So, and you also don't want to use a warm color like burnt sienna or anything that's warm. We want a really cold environment for these people to be standing in. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to use Van Dyke brown, and then we're going to use an ultramarine blue. And that is going to give us this almost black, but not quite. We're going to mix it and have it look sort of creepy looking. And again, since it's like painting acrylic paint almost, gouache is, we can get in the tight edges. We don't have to mask anything, and we get a nice, dark, cool, cold color in the background, which is really what I want. And we want to vary it a lot too, to where it's not smooth, but it's not, overly not smooth. But anyway, so let's get started. I'm TarotOracle. We're doing the sadness card. Oh, it's the Five of Pentacles. Okay, we're going to add some COVID-19 masks on both people. I think that's a good idea. So let's do the background first, obviously. So we masked out everything. I used Winsor & Newton mask. I'm not a big fan of it because it's white and you can barely see it on here. I like the ones that are blue or bright green or something where I can easily see pieces that are masked versus not masked. So we have everything taped, the sides taped and all that. What are we going to use for this, you ask? Not black, not black. I think black would be a mistake. I did the devil background in black, and everybody complained. So, and I see their point. You have to listen when people complain because they got good points. You also don't want to use a warm color, so I don't want to use anything that's warm. It's going to be super bad, not like the movie, but super bad. Don't want to use warm things. But I'm using gouache. Why? Because gouache gives you a darker color quickly. I can get a really dark color very quickly. So I want to mix. I want to use a cool blue and a cool brown. So this is Van Dyke brown with ultramarine blue. Mix them together. Mixing them together, I get a dark color, but it's not just like overwhelming. It's not just overwhelmingly dark. So I come in here and just sort of apply it and slather it on and get that nice slather going with some water there. And so I can get, a decent layer of this and without being just too overwhelming with it. So that's what I kind of want, right? You want sort of a darkness or a hint at darkness without being horribly overwhelming to where you're just slapping people in the face with it. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to just slap people in the face with that darkness. So you're going to mix it. You're just going to mix it, get a good blend going up here, get a good blend going up here. So we have this nice sort of color blend right there. So now we're going to come around and get more of a blend around this person. And remember, we're going to put some COVID-19 masks on them. It's going to be a lot of fun. But have you seen what I'm doing? Just get that little blend there. It's going to be really nice. It's going to give us a nice look for the dark areas. So that's sort of important here. And the higher we go, the darker we want it. So we'll come back with the second layer. It's no big deal. We'll come back with that second layer. Dip into here. Get a little more water. And you don't want it to be super even. It's not really even on the card. You want it to be, maybe all over the place. So if we're a little bit off, on that, that's okay. We just want to get in these little spaces there. Remember, we're going to have some COVID-19 masks, and I think that's a sign of the times. A lot of people are out of work from this COVID-19 mask. So you know, just sort of represent that, or sort of get a bit of a tribute to the people that you know, have had some sacrifices, have had some issues with this. So a little bit of a nod to the fact that we're all in this together. I mean, sometimes it's tough, and we just got to sort of deal with it. We get that nice mixture of that brown and blue together, and we are sort of moving that down here as we sort of go. So again, just sort of blending everything together, getting it all done, getting it all nice. And you don't want it to be super even, but you also don't want it to be just splotchy and all over the place. So sort of dipping us into water, then grabbing. We got a little brown, a little blue in the little cup here, the specimen cup. Yeah, the grocery store cup that you can get a bunch of these cups, and they're cheap. And I'm just going to do something temporary. I'll put it in these cups, and it works out great. It works out really good. Okay, so we want to sneak in here between the feet and get some of this blended in up here. So it's not going to be perfect again, but we'll just do what we can. We'll do what we can with it. So again, gouache is nice because I can do one layer and then I'm done. I don't have to do 50 layers, because if you do watercolor, some of these transparent type of colors in the watercolor are going to give you some problems. But gouache, I can do one coat and it looks decent. I don't have to come around and play with it for the next 4 hours, or hair dry it out for the next hour and then hope for the best and come back and all this other garbage. So, you know, anyway, that's what we're doing. So we'll finish this up and then we will come back and see how it looks. So here's kind of what it looks like when we're done. I'm adding snow in Photoshop. So I reestablished my edges with a little acrylic paint, obviously avoiding the paper where I'm going to be painting on. But you want to mask this off if you're not Photoshopping. So make sure to mask off where the snow is so you have a good snow line. Anyway, again, I'm doing it in Photoshop, so I don't really care. So I came down too far, so I just put a little acrylic paint on it. So here's what we're sort of looking at here. Looks pretty good. I got a nice background there, and the background has this very cold, eerie feel without being completely black. Now we're going to put snow on it later, and how we're going to do that is we're just going to get some white gouache, and then we're going to get a toothbrush and just splatter some white gouache on there. So that's going to give us a little bit of the snow. I don't want the universal spaced out snow blotches. I'd rather have a splatter from a toothbrush to be my snow. Or we can add it in Photoshop, whichever you would prefer. But that's sort of where we're at now. Got this nice, beautiful little background. And again, we just did that with gouache, so we could do it in one layer instead of coming back with like 3, 4, 5 layers. Not happy with the Winsor Newton. I'm just not pleased with it because it doesn't give me the fine edges I get with other products. But I mean, we can figure that out. We'll figure that out. No problem. So I brought out a level. You can get a little level because this looked lopsided to the left, and indeed it is. And indeed it is after all. So I got the level. You want to make sure put it on top and make sure you're level in the first place. And then afterwards, you want to get the level and make sure that your lines are going to be strict. Because if it's lopsided, everyone will notice. So anything with the tall structures, just get a level and make sure that it's straight. If it's not, it's going to look weird. Everybody's going to notice it. Even if it's just a few degrees off, people notice that stuff. Anyway, a little level always helps. So now we're level. And I think we're good, and we are going to continue on here and start with the paned glass. So now I have my committed lines, which basically means I'm all in. So I got a colored pencil, and I went in, and I made my commitment, and my commitment lines, and those correspond to the similar to this. Unlike this, I'm going to have a line that goes down here, I think. But I want to commit to just this area right here. I got my commit lines done. And so I want to get that focused over here. So I have it all done. It's in pencil. It's not coming off. It's in colored pencil. So now I want to go and fill in the blacks here. Then I want to start the colors along here. And we're going to use watercolor. My preferred brand and sort of colors for this is going to be HWC. You can use whatever you want. But for the green, I want a bright, bright green. So I'm probably going to use permanent green or sap green. I'm not really sure. Maybe a combo. So this one will be sap green and this one will be permanent green. Give it a bit of a variance. I think that would be nice. And for the black areas, obviously we're going to use black. Or I really don't like using black, so I use sepia. Sepia is kind of black, but not really. So that gives a nice, unusual look to it. For the inside here, I'm going to use quinacridone gold. I think quinacridone gold is a brighter, prettier color for in here than what they have on the card. Obviously, I'm going to use yellow over here. So we're not going to use gouache. We're going to use watercolor because I want it to have that watercolor look, but it is going to be a very solid color until in here. In here, I'm probably going to have gouache because I want these to really pop, So let's come back after we do this one area and this area, and let's see how we did. There we go. So we prototyped it out. So that is that. I mean, that's a bit dark, but I like it. I like it. We did permanent green and mixed with yellow for these. We did sap green for these. So I like the contrast, and we did yellow for that. So that is phthalo blue, and that is basically lemon yellow. That is lemon yellow. We're starting off the Pentacles. Now I'm going to do this in Photoshop. So I'm cheating, and I put a gold texture in Photoshop for this. So if it looks like this, I don't care. Anyway, so that's red. I think that's primary red. Phthalo blue. I need to put a color here. Lemon yellow right here. Phthalo blue, etc. So overall, I like this, and I think that I'm going to replicate this all through here. I think it has a nice vibrancy to it. I mean, if you're looking at it, it's got a nice vibrancy to it. I think it's going to look really good, and the window is going to be a bit distracting, but extremely pretty, which is what I'm going for. Obviously what I'm going for. So let's do this section up here, and then this section. Well, let's do the whole thing. And oops, got some stuff on me. Let's do the whole thing, and we'll come back and look at how the window's progressing. Now here is just a bunch of dashed lines, and we'll do that in a minute. But for now, I want to finish the window and be done with it. Okay, here's where we're at. A lot of intricate details here that I want to keep. I mean, is it really necessary? No. But if we look at our reference and then we look at our picture, I think it looks pretty good. Got some nice vibrancy here as well. Some of the reds we did with gouache. Some of the yellows we did with gouache. Some we did not. The blue, you pretty much have to do phthalo blue and just do a light coating so you have that transparency. Now, the watercolor, the filter we're going to use in Photoshop will get all the colors and make them pop a little bit and also lighten them up. So we went kind of dark on some of these, but it's going to lighten up and pop in Photoshop when we insert it. So I think that's going to look pretty good overall. I came back in with a pencil and went back over this area and this area here. So we had a nice, freshly sort of delineated line because, like, for example, here, we want that line to be pretty harsh. I mean, we want it to be pretty harsh. You don't want like a thin line. So we can come back, we can make the line a bit more harsh and a bit more stand out. I'm OCD. I mean, this isn't necessary, but I mean, welcome to my life. So anything with brighter colors, I'm going to get that nice delineated line there and make it look good, right? Make it look good. So obviously, for the black, I used watercolor and not gouache, because gouache is going to really super dark black, and I just don't want that for most of these areas. So right here, for example, I want it black, so we'll come in with a watercolor, and we'll just go through it like that and just make it black, and then we'll go with the hair dryer and dry it out. But overall, you could use gouache if you wanted to. I think gouache would bring a pretty fresh color set with it, but the transparency from the watercolor going into the paper really sort of makes a good deal for me. It makes a good deal for me. It looks nice. So this will dry a little lighter, which is what I want. Again, I don't want a, let me get some paint. Okay. What I don't want is everything to look like it's made in acrylic. I want some of that transparency here, and we could get that firm line. We could get that with here, but again, it dries a little lighter, so it's not too. I'm not too pleased with that. I'd rather use the pencil or use a pencil. So anyway, so we'll hair dry all of this, and we'll put the pentacle pattern in, and do all of that, and then we'll start with this, which is just basically a bunch of dashed lines all through here. And then we'll go and do the top. And then we'll come back down and do the people, and that's going to be kind of fun. So we'll start on the people after that. And we're sort of going to make up our own colors for that. It's got orange in the reference photo. I'm not sure if I'm compelled to do orange, but we will see. Okay, we're pretty much done with the window. We got a colored pencil, and we went in here with a colored pencil. This is not paint, it's just colored pencil. And we got Pixie's original feel for how this is connected or how this goes together. So now we need to start on the people. Now, if we look at my favorite book, by the way, which is Color Choices, Making Color Sense Out of Color. This is from Quiller. You probably heard of Quiller because Quiller makes the Quiller wheel. So if we look at Pixie's Color Choices, Pamela Coleman Smith, by the way, Pixie. If we look at Pixie's Color Choices for this, on the Quiller wheel, she chose a split complementary. So we're going, move back. So we're going red split complementary out to the sort of the viridian green, which is sort of what we have up here, this bright green. And then we're going over into this ultramarine blue, which is sort of what we have here with the blues. So we have the split complementary, and then we added yellow, basically. So for the color choices for the clothing, she came in around here and did like this raw sienna, right? If you look at it, it's like this raw sienna color that we sort of have there. So let's zoom in here. So if we look at Pixie's color choices here, we have this raw sienna feel here because we're picking up the pentacles up there. Then we have this, it's not a green, it looks green on camera, it's more of a yellow. But we have still a yellow, more like a Naples yellow right here. And then we're going towards this raw sienna here. For here, she chose the sort of the cerulean blue. And then over here, we went just like this super light, almost like a red oxide, almost like an Indian red. I mean, this looks a lot like an Indian red. Or pyro orange, anyway. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to get the same colors, but obviously we're going to modify it a bit. So the last thing you want to do is a green. In my opinion, a green would be really awkward here. A green for the skirt or anything like that. And the reason why is you want something that is bright. We want bright colors. Because if we get dark colors, it's just going to be terrible news. We have dark in the background, and we need light colors here to make them stand out. We could do a little darker on the feet to where we have snow around it, for example. But so we're going to use like a brown for the canes. We're going to use the traditional raw sienna over here. We're going to make it bright and pretty. And then over here we're going to use maybe a pyro orange. Ooh, pyro orange is cool, but you really want to watch out with that orange. You don't want a warm color. This is a cold scene. It's a cold scene. You want cold colors. You're going to screw yourself with a warm orange here. It's just going to look so freaking weird. So stay cool, stay with the cool colors. We need to find a cool orange. We can make that with lemon yellow. Lemon yellow is, permanent yellow lemon is super, super cool. We can get this and make an orange out of it with a cool, what do we have that's orange? Yeah, we have the pyro orange. Oh, that's a cool orange. That is a cool orange. May just go this raw. May just get this and go raw with it. Or we could make one with a cool red. I don't really have a cool red. Man, I don't have a cool red. I'm screwed. I think I screwed myself with the reds. I have almost no reds, which is a shame. I don't have a cool red. So I just have warm reds. So probably going to end up just go straight out of the tube, power orange, and hope for the best. Anyway, but yeah, if you mix two cool colors, you're going to get a cool orange that we could use for this, but I don't have it. So let's mix up some colors, get ready, and come back. Okay, we got power orange with Indian red. We'll put a little Indian red in there just to get that color. So now we put some of the color on here. It gets lighter as we come up here. So now we're just going to grab a wet brush and get some of this color and pull it over into there. Now we're mixing it with yellow because we have the yellow reflection of the window. We need more water. With the yellow reflection of the window is going to be important here. So we want to make sure that it's a bit lighter as we come out because it's just going to look better, and I think that's going to be all right. So now we have the color coming out here. Looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. And again, we just have a wet brush at this point. We're just sort of smoothing it over here. Get a little more water there, smoothing it over there, and smoothing everything out. And as we get over here, it gets darker. So thankfully, watercolor will mix for a long time and keep on mixing. We just got a standard old brush here. We're just playing with it here. Now we need to come over here to the back side. We need to get a little darker. So we're going to let that dry just a little bit, and then we're going to get a little more Indian red and sort of come in here. So we have that shadow area right here with the Indian red coming up here with that Indian red as well. There we go. See, that looks perfect. And now we rinse off the brush and get it 90% dry and just blend. Just blending all of this in together there. And that is going to look like we want it. Looking pretty good. So now we need some yellow. We'll grab, I don't want pure yellow. We're going to grab a little bit yellow. A little lemon yellow with a little of that quinacridone orange. And put that up here. Get a watch out. You just want a little highlight of this up there. You don't want a ton. All right. Now we got that yellow. Now we want to grab the orange and just blend it in here into the yellow so they're all one color there. So we got that Indian red and orange blending into that yellow. Now we have that the back side is a little bit of action on the back side there. There we go. So it looks like it's just sort of lightening up. Just lightening up as we get on the back there. So it's not a ton of light. And we can come back with a little more lemon yellow. Just sort of touch it here and there. I need more lemon yellow on my palette. just sort of touch it here and there, you know? Get it and touch it with that lemon yellow. Touch it just a little bit. There we go. There you go. So you have that nice transition in between that. And then we can get some of the yellow and just make a couple of smidges here and there. Now this is going to be a bit much, but I just want like this smidge, like just want a couple of little blotches. So you don't want like a ton. So you want to just put literally like half a drop of this yellow in here and just sort of put it right there. This is straight out of the tube, so it's still wet. So wet watercolor is like gouache, basically. Again, you have these little pieces, little Reese's pieces of yellow that are right here, just sort of highlighting. And that's going to be sufficient. I believe that is going to be sufficient. Again, a couple of little bits. Little thing for the camera to pick up. Like that. That looks pretty good. So that's how we do sort of the highlight coming off of the dress there. Now we do have a situation where up top we have a similar type of thing. Up top right here we have a bit of yellow, and then as we sort of come into here we have more orange. Orange, you glad you chose orange. So we get the orange here, and again we have another situation where we got yellow up top, but this is closer to the window, so it's gonna have a little more of that yellow, little bit more of that yellow. Can't have enough of yellow. So let's take a look at that. Let's grab, again, some of this yellow and just put it in. So this is going to be more yellow. We're going to put in more yellow here. That's a nice, nice shade of yellow right there. Put in that yellow right there as it sort of hits. It's sort of just touching the back side of that. And because it's closer, it's going to have more yellow. Okay. Now that I put the yellow up there, let's put the camera towards it. That'll always be good. Okay. It doesn't look as, on the camera it looks really orange. I swear to you it's not that orange. So that we get this and blend it into that yellow again. But again, be careful because this is going to be a bit more prominent yellow as we're sort of coming up here because we're closer. Now remember, we're closer to the light source, so you're going to have more yellow. It's going to be more of that stuff there. So we get the yellow here and just sort of blend it up in there. Oops, and then blend it there, and then we'll get, you know, like we did before, just a couple little dots up there. It's going to give us, we got a few more dots because again, closer to the light source, it's going to look like the light source is sort of hitting it. We want to blend this out like that. And yeah, it looks pretty good. There we go. And now we want a darker shade again. So we're going to come back with a second layer, which is always handy. So second layer, we're just going to get pure Indian red. I want to mix a little black with this. I'm going to be sorry I did this, but a little black with the Indian red to make it pretty deep Indian red. We're coming here with the second layer. We're just sort of touching this right here like that. And as you come in here, again, sort of touching this and coming up a little bit. Like that, to give it those nice shadows, that nice shadow area. Because sort of what we need, right? Okay, so that looks pretty good. We're just not really going to blend. Yeah, I don't want to blend. Well, maybe do I want to blend that? Maybe. I mean, I just want it a little. There you go, a little. There we go. And so that's what we're going to do there. So that is the back of the outfit, looking pretty good. So we're going to continue on and pretty much do the rest of this and come back. So now it's time for the COVID-19 mask. I played around with it. So I came over here to the side. Oh, let's do it over here. I got some cerulean blue, and I watered it down quite a bit. Now if I come over here to the side and just look at what that looked like, that's a nice blue. And then I come over here, and I think that baby blue matches what I got. So we're gonna go with that. So we got cerulean blue watered down a little bit. I mean, watered down a lot actually. And I got a good COVID-19 pattern here. So now let's go in here and get the COVID-19 mask in there. And I think that looks pretty good. It's got a white on top, but overall I think we're pretty on target here for colors. All right, let that dry. It needs to come out here a little bit more. We'll fix that in Photoshop. But I know that it does have a white on the top of it. So as you go on the top, we need some clean water. This water is really dirty. As you go on the top, we have a white. So what we need to do is get that white at the very top and get that reflected. So we got a white now. Now we're going to come up here and get that white like that. That's going to be there. And then we have like a little bit of the white pattern here, like that. And then we have the folds of the mask. And to get the folds, rather than fight with this thing, we're just going to get a pencil. Just going to get a colored pencil and get the folds like that. So we have like a little pattern like right there. We got that, and then we have the folds. We got one fold that comes down here. Lightly do that. We got one fold that comes up through there. And we have a fold that kind of comes around up here. There we go. So I think that's okay. And the fold is a little bit more prominent, like right there. And here it's more shaded. So we get the pencil and just shade it a little bit, like that. Like that. I think that looks pretty good. We got a little thing there. I think that looks like a COVID mask. I do think it does. A little stitching. Stitching right there. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. That looks like a medical mask. I mean, a little bit. Obviously, we have a hair here, so we can't see the string. We could put the string through the hair, though. Could put the string through the hair. So just have, the string comes out from like here, and then it goes back like that. And then the other string is on the bottom, and it comes up like that. I don't know. That's the best I can do. All right, so we continue our quest. Here's where we're at. We have a pretty good looking dress there. We got pretty good looking shirt and whatnot. We got that. So we're on the canes, and in a variety of the photos, we have a shirt, and the shirt doesn't look roughed up enough for me. So we're gonna get it. We're just gonna rub it with a scrubby brush until we get a hole. So you rub it with a scrubby brush, and then you get a piece of paper towel and you just sort of whack it, and it'll come off. So we're just gonna do that. We'll make a couple of holes, basically. So you get a damp brush, and then make a couple of holes or a couple of worn pieces. We want it to be fairly worn, right? Well, this is not a new shirt. So do that, we'll get that, make a couple of worn pieces. So anyway, so that's what we're gonna do here. So after that, and then you can get it and do it more, and then get more of a wear and tear on there. So it looks pretty good, it looks pretty ragged. So we're gonna make a mask for him too. Don't worry, we're gonna make a mask. We put a bell on here too. But we get this red. This is a cool red. We don't want a brown all over the place. We want a cool red where we can get it. Of course we need brown eventually, but we're gonna use not a warm brown, we're gonna use burnt umber. So burnt umber is not warm, it's a brown, and we're going to get that burnt umber that's not warm, and then we're just gonna sort of make make this do what we want it to do here. So we're going to need just to come through here with this brown that's at least warm as we can get. And just sort of make the cane there, make the citizen cane, and put that. So now, as we're going towards the light snow, we're going to have a reflection coming up. So this is going to be the darkest spot because it has no light. It's sort of obfuscated by him. So what we want to do is we want to get the deeper, darker brown. This is usually where the Van Dyke brown comes in. We can just get that and get it here. And the light source is going to be over here. So now we're going to get this and be much lighter, much gentler with it, and just sort of bring it down here and all that. So now we're going to get our deeper, darker brown and come back in with that. And then, and so we're mixing this brown up here. So for now, we can mix this brown with this cool sort of reddish tone and get that tone that we need right there, because that's going to be pretty dark. It's going to be pretty dark. We're going to go over it a couple times, but with this combination, it's going to be pretty dark, and it's got it under his shoulder there, and we're doing this here. Another topic I wanted to discuss was the sort of the outfit here. So we got that cerulean blue, you remember we did for over here, and then we did cerulean blue for the face mask. So we'll do the other face mask in cerulean blue too, but while we wait, we want to get down here is pretty dark. So we want this dark area because there's no light. So we want to pull it up into the lighter areas and sort of get that light. And since it's, since a person's kind of homeless, not doing too well, if it's not perfect, that's fine. We just want to get that and pull it up from the dark area into the lighter area. And then we have this nice mixtures, we're sort of coming up here. Nice mixes, we're coming up there. So it looks worn, it looks ragged. That's kind of what we were shooting for in the first place. So we get like over here, it's going to be worn and ragged. And, not going to be too bad. Not going to be too bad at all. We mix these a little bit. Get it where it doesn't look as awkward, and that looks pretty good. So we're going to continue on with that. I would like to do some more with this. Let's see, we can get some brown, I guess, and get some of this lighter brown. I hear ice cream truck. I remember when I was little kitties get all excited with that. So inside here, there's no light because he's obstructing the light. So that is going to be darker, and then we're going to get that and pull that in like that. That's going to be a little darker, and because it looks dirty and grimy, that gives it even a better feel, doesn't it? Gives it even a better feel as we sort of grime this out and dirt this out. And again, we just sort of blend that in and all that. So I think that looks pretty good for a dirty, grimy thing. So we'll get the stilts, and then we'll come back and make the mask. I think the foot is done. It looks pretty injured. It looks pretty injured indeed. I like it. So be right back with the mask. We'll get the stilts in the meantime. So we got the sticks done. You can see we got sticks, we got feet. We're gonna add snow in Photoshop. We're gonna fix that in Photoshop. We're gonna add skin tone in Photoshop because I don't have a skin tone color. So I'm kind of screwed at the moment. The cerulean blue somehow got dipped in some yellow. Now it's green, but whatever. I did some gouache for the bell, and then I did a colored pencil. I just did the chain with that. So now I think it looks like a couple of people having a rough day. It's time, my friends, it's time for the surgical mask. With this gentleman here, looks very excited to be wearing this. We're going to need to put this over here. This over here. So, yeah, let's get that traced out real quick like. Where's my pencil? All right, we're going to have to trace it out. We're going to have to trace it out and figure this out. Let's do lightly. let's do very lightly. Let me look at Mr. Happy. Mr. Happy. So it comes over his nose. So his nose is like here. Their eyes are like here. Nose is there. Mouth is there. And then the chin's right there. Okay. So we got the chin. We got the eyes and the nose. It comes up here right below the eye. And it curves like that. So it gets up, curvy, and then it goes down the other side when it's off the nose. So we got that curvy action. It comes all the way to the bottom of the chin and below the chin. So we need to go all the way down here, wrap underneath the chin, and then we come back up. All right, now it comes up and it goes under his little hatsies there. And the mask up here has a sharp curve there. A sharp curve, and then it comes straight up like that. And then we have the string that goes over here towards the ears. So the string goes like that, like that. So we get the curvy action here, and then we got it up here, and we got a downward slope there, and we're making more of a commitment now. Okay, so let's get an eraser and erase the innards. Erase the innards there and see how it's going to look. See how it's going to look. All right. Pretty pleased. Pretty pleased with that. I think it looks like a mask. I think it looks like a mask. Under here, and it goes up like that. And then we're going to have a little fold of the thing like that. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. Okay. So we got white up at the top there, like a white area here. Then we got like a little area there. And then we got a white area coming down through here. And that sort of tapers off down there. Okay, so I think we got our mask set up. I think we are good for it, and that's his hair. All right, so let's do the mask. So, you know, we corrupted our cerulean blue. Let me squirt some more out. All right, so we have a fresh supply of cerulean blue. I had to clean off my palette because I squirted out a gallon of permanent rose, and I'm not even sure why. I haven't used a bit of it, man. Why am I doing this to myself? Why do I do this stuff to myself by squirting out a bunch of a color that I never use? Oh, I don't know. So here we go with the face mask, and I think this is going to dry lighter, so I want to make sure and get the angles correct. And then we're going to come in here with a colored pencil and just get all the detail. So we're going to have to mess with this. So we get the mask. I think the mask looks pretty good like that. And then we have white on the top and the bottom. And I just did that. But we do need to sort of just touch it a little bit. So we're just going to push this up just a little bit into there. So we have a stitching feel to it, but still white. That looks pretty good. And the same thing down here. We have a little stitching feel to it. And I think that's going to do us just perfectly. Now we just need to dry it and come back with a pencil. All right, so we hair dried it. Now we need to come in with a pencil and just get, again, that stitching. We want the stitching right through here, and we want the stitching on the side as well. I think that looks good. And then we got like a line that comes up through here, and it peaks at the nose, and it comes down on the other side. Same thing down through here. We got a line a little harder that comes through, and then it goes up. So, and at the bottom, we got one last line and a little shadow down there, and that comes up. And then we have the, you know, the lines there, and maybe a little thing here. So then we have white, and so we're just gonna come through with white, and we'll be done. And I'm done. I mean, not the best job. We need to Photoshop, add some hand texture. We need to fix that and this, that, add some skin color, fix this, etc. But overall, I mean, I would say overall I'm pretty pleased with it. I'm not happy with it, but I mean, if you just look at it just raw, I think it looks pretty good. I think we have a nice little card here. Anyway, that was the Five of Pentacles. Let me know what you think. I will Photoshop add the snow and get the shadows underneath the feet and all that stuff. But other than that, I'm done. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.